Alright, welcome back for another tutorial in the FPS series. Well, not so much FPS series, but the Scratch series, where we're making a game from scratch. In the previous video, we got our character into it. Not the actual character mesh, just the character blueprint. We set up some controls so that we can move around, left, right, forward, backwards. We could turn with the left key, the right key, or we can do it with the mouse for doing it faster, forward, or looking up, looking down. But there's no jump, no animations, or anything of that kind. In this video, we are going to add a first-person mesh. Now, by that, I mean a set of arms, hands, and that's that. We're not going to give it a weapon right now. We're just going to give hands and arms. Alright? So let's go ahead and get started here. Now, the first thing I want to do is make a folder that all this is going to go into, and we're just going to call that character. Okay. Now, I already have a character that I want to bring in here, but if you have one and you know how you have the arms and the hands separated and animations already set up for it and all that stuff, you can still import it the same way. I will have this particular model and the animations I'm going to use saved with this file, with this video. It'll be in the comments below so that you can download it, or not the comments, but the details. So feel free to grab those assets and use them, but you don't have to if you don't want. If you have your own, you can use your own. So now the first thing we're going to do is, with the character folder still selected, we're going to click on import, and we're going to find where I've got this saved at. Since I know where it's at, I'm going to go and I'm going to go grab it real quick. So main character 1. Okay. Now, with that being said, I also have a couple of other animations here that I want to grab. I want to grab this one, and I want to grab this one. Alright, so we'll go ahead and open them. Now, when you're importing meshes that are skeletons, like characters and stuff, you want to make sure you import a skeletal, you import the mesh, you import your materials and your textures. Everything else you can just ignore, and then click Import All. Give it a few minutes to do everything. Now, if you're wondering how I selected just individual things throughout that list, we have failed to import rifle. Why did we fail to import the rifle? If we failed to import the one, we're probably going to fail to import the others for some reason. So we'll go ahead and let it run its course real quick. I'm going to pause the video while it does its importing, and then I'll be right back once it's done. Okay, well, we're done, actually. I don't have to pause it. Awesome! Alright, it says import failed. Why did import fail? Alright, well, here's my main character, and it's just the arms, as you can see here. Okay. Now, I'm going to close that out, because I don't need to do anything else with that. Did I get any animations at all? No, I did not. Why did I not get any animations? Alright, well, let's do this. Let's do another import here. And I'm going to, just for now, grab the idle, rifle idle. When importing the animation solo, it's going to ask what skeleton are they linked to. In this case, it's linked to the main character 1 skeleton. So we're going to link it to the main character 1 skeleton. And I'm going to import all, and then it'll import the animation. As you can see here, there's the animation of the idle, and it's just sitting there with the gun being held here and rested there. Alright, so we're going to close that out. Okay. What is this? See, I feel I'm missing an animation here. Alright, I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this Assets. I'm going to make another folder. I'm going to call this Materials. And then we're going to make a third one, and we're going to call this mesh. Now what this will do is, or not assets, but animations. This is going to be the breakdown of the main character so that we can keep things separated and nice and neatly. Our skeleton and the mesh and all will go there, the materials that make it up, and then the animations that go for that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take the required things we need, and we're going to break these out of here. So move those there. Main character, main character, main character. Bring all of that into there. We need to take this, 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 and this. We put them into there as well. We can actually take these three and delete these out. And then we drop the rifle animation into there. Now, see, we still have the rifle animation and we're still good. Okay. But we had some other animations I wanted to get. So let me grab them real quick. I wanted the walk forward with rifle. And I wanted to sprint forward, but it's not allowing me. So I'm going to have to go a different way to grab that one. So we'll actually learn something else in this video too. Okay, and there's the walking forward. Why is it actually walking forward and not just walking in place like the one I wanted is? So let's grab this one here and see what happens. I've got too many animations here. I don't know what's what anymore. Okay, there we go. Now see, as we're walking, it's still in place. So as we're walking forward, this is the animation that'll play. Okay? So we can take this one and we can actually delete this one out. And then slide that over and move there. Okay? Now, I did want a sprinting forward animation. So I kind of have to have that to help do what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is I have another project on the side here that is kind of from an earlier tutorial. As I was doing this stuff, making sure it still worked. And I imported it there, so I don't know what's going on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the item, come down here to Asset Actions, and I'm going to migrate. And it's going to take all this other stuff over, which I'll have to go back through and clear out, unfortunately. So we're going to move that over. Now you got to find where it's located. In my case, it's there, that, and then that, and that. Now, once you get to where it's located, you want to put it in the content folder. So just hit OK. Let's see, it's asking to overwrite this stuff. Say no to all, because we don't need to overwrite anything. We're just wanting that. So just say no to all. It'll say it's successful. So now we can get that out of the way. And now if we go into animations here, we see sprint forward. Open it up, and there's the sprint forward, there's the idle, and there's the walk forward. Okay. Now this is all cool, okay, but we need to get that into the character blueprint. So now we open the blueprint, we go to viewport, make sure you're on the components thing here. Now, two things we're going to need to have here. You see that we have here this mesh thing. I don't use that one. I add my own. But first we need a camera. And what this camera is going to do is allow us, that's how we're going to see. Our screen and the lens of this camera are the exact same thing. So however this camera sees, that's how we see. So we're just going to call this FPS cam. The other thing we're going to add is a skeletal mesh. Okay, so you just type in skel, S-K-E-L, and it'll get your thing. I'm going to name this FPS character. Compile, save it so we have it. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to drag the FPS character onto FPS cam so that whatever this camera is doing, whether the camera pans up, whether the camera pans down, it turns to the left, turns to the right, the character as well goes with it. And I will show you more of that in just a moment. So we're going to reselect FPS character, go back to our details window. Down here under mesh, we're going to click on that, and right now we only have one skeleton, so we're just going to go ahead and select that. Then we're going to get this in the position we want it in. I'm going to switch it 90 degrees. and then I want to bring it down. Yeah, there we go. Now you'll notice that it's well above the camera. Okay, we're facing the proper direction. That's what this little blue arrow is. So now we can go back here to components, go to FPS camera. Now you're going to see these arms go up here, so we're just going to have to readjust them. But you drag your camera up to where you think you want it. Drag this back down here. Drag the camera up a little. I like to keep my mesh, the arms or the bot or the character mesh, whatever I'm using. This goes both first person and third person views. I like to keep it at a -90 on the Z-axis. So if you're like you're holding the blue arrow, you see below that white dot it says -90.00. That's the location of that. If we were to switch to say a left view, this blue and this yellow or this green here, where those intersect, that's the 000, and you can see how this is actually below it. So it puts the 000 origin in the center of the character instead of at their feet. But you can shift all that up too by just taking the capsule and, well, you can't move the capsule apparently anymore. So you can't do anything with the capsule, but you can just, the system itself will work out to where everything you do is registered from this point here, not actually that point there. So now we have that, but we kind of have a slight problem. It's just a set of hands. It's not doing anything. We hit play, we still don't even see them. It's not doing anything nice, neat. It's just, for some reason, the look up and look down feature is now broke. Interesting. Oh, we'll figure that out here in a second. Alright. So now, having that done, I did that. Oh well. We'll deal with that in a minute. Alright, but so we have just the arms and they're just sitting there. They're not doing anything. So we actually need to go into our animations, right click in that folder, go to animations, and we're going to create an animation blueprint. Alright. Now it's looking for some information here. What skeleton are we using, are we going to base this animation blueprint off of? Well, we're going to base it off of the main character, one skeleton. And what anim instance are we going to base it off of? We're going to base it off of just the base anim instance. It's the base anim, the class. If we were doing a vehicle, we would use the vehicle anim instance. These three here, you can use them. Like here's the tutorial third-person player one and stuff like that. But you can just use the base one for a first-person shooter. Just use the anim instance, and then hit OK. All right. So now we have that. We're going to call this scratch_anim for animation. We can open that up. And then we get this. Now you notice nothing here is connected. Alright, so we're going to right click and we're going to go add state. So we want add new state machine. Alright, we're going to go ahead and link these up and then hit compile. Oh, it's not doing anything still. We have a warning. Well, if you double click on that state machine, you have this. Alright. Now, what we're looking for in here is what animations are we actually doing. So we're going to drag out rifle animation, and I'm just going to call this idle. And we're going to connect the entry into that. Okay. So now if I was to hit compile and save, you notice our preview window over here switched to the little hands. Alright, but this will not allow us to have the walk and the sprint animations set up. So I'm going to drag out the walk animations. I'm going to just call this walk. I'm going to drag out the sprint. And I'm going to call this run. I want to rename this real quick. Walk. There we go. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag from the idle to the walk. the walk to the run, and then the run to the idle. And you notice we have these little transition rules thing here. If you mouse over them, it says transition rules. And what it's looking for is, well, under what circumstance do I switch from the idle animation to a walk animation? Well, we have to set that up, and we have to give those settings values. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually leave this alone for the moment. Go over here to Event Graph, and you notice we'll have two nice little things here: Event Blueprint Update Animation and Try Get Pawn Owner. Okay. Off of the Pawn Owner return value node, we're going to drag off, and we're going to cast to and scratch. Okay. Because we want the scratch character. We want the character whose animation is right here. Alright? So, and that's linked to the scratch player. Now the reason, and then we hook up this right there. Now the reason we grab the blueprint of the character, it's the character blueprint, and not like just the anim skeleton or whatever, is there's information within the blueprint that we need to know. The first thing we need to know, and we get to know this information by dragging this as scratch character, we drag off of that node, and that is the movement mode. No, not movement mode, my apologies. It's just movement. Scroll all the way to the bottom here, and you get character movement. And it should look like that. Now, off of character movement, we're going to drag off, and now we want movement mode. Okay? And it's right here, get movement mode. So we select that. Alright. Now, we're going to drag off of that. We're going to do equals. Now, you know, you can do equal byte, not equal byte, but neither of those are going to work because this light green is an enumerator. It's a list of different features or different things that this character can, different modes this character can have. Walking, falling, dying, jumping, whatever. So we want this equal enum. Right? And we get this. So if we click on this arrow key, or this box right here, you see the different things: walking, nav mesh walking, falling, swimming, flying, you know, whatever. We want falling. Right? Now, notice I said in the last video, we are not doing a jump feature here, but we do still need to know when we're in the air. Excuse me. So, we need to now make a Boolean variable to tell us whether we are or are not in the air. So we're going to go down here to our variables, click on variable, and this variable is going to be called is in air, question mark. Alright, you just make sure in your details panel thing that it's there, that it is a Boolean. You drag it on out here, and we want to set it. And the set is going to be whatever the value of this. If the movement mode is equal to the falling, okay, that makes it true, we are in the air. If we're not in the air, well, guess what? We're not going to matter because we're doing other things anyway. Now, how do we tell if we're walking forward or if we're sprinting forward, for that matter? Off of character movement, we're going to drag off, and we're going to get velocity. Now, you'll see this yellow little node here, and it says get velocity. The yellow is for vectors. Now, your vectors are X, Y, and Z coordinate information within the 3D plane universe that dictate where your character is currently standing. 0, 0, 0 is the base vector of your character and where it is standing. But we cannot use a vector to tell us that we are moving or not moving. We have to have a float value. So what we do is we take velocity, drag off of velocity, and we need to get some formula done. We need to do some math. So we're going to get a vector length. Okay, and as you can see here, returns the length of the function vector. Okay. Now you can look up the math equations for this, and you can break it up and do whatever you want with it and all, but this is basically what you want. Okay. And then you're going to take that value, and we need to know, is it greater than 0? If it is greater than 0, we are moving, and we need to have a variable that dictates that. So is walking is going to be that variable. You can drag that out here. We're going to set it, base it off of that, connect that up. Now that's all fine and dandy, and that will get us walking, okay? But that's not going to get us running. So, hold on, man, I got. Alright, sorry about that. I've been sick, so I've got some coughs pretty badly here. Now, what we're going to do here to dictate whether we're running or not is we're going to go ahead and make the variable for it is running. Okay. Now, you don't have to put the question marks. I just do that because I'm asking the question. Are we running? Or are we not running? We're going to drag off the return value, and we're going to look for the greater than again. Okay. But this time, we want to know if it's greater than 300. If it's greater than 300, we're running. So we're going to set that, click that up, and connect that. Compile and save. All right, now that is the last thing we're going to do here. All right, we're going to go back to the state machine. Now, with what we just set up with the is in air, is walking, is running, we can actually use those booleans to determine our transition from idling to walking to running to idling, and even from going from walking back to idle, from a run back to a walk, and from idle to actually running. Okay? And you'll notice these little white long arrows here. If you mouse over the little nodes there, you'll see the arrows highlighted. This line, that line right there, only controls from idle to run, from idle to walk. Alright, so what is going to transition us from idling to walking? Well, to do that, we take this little orb right, this little circle here with these two lines, we double click on it. Okay, now this is probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. All you do is you grab is walking and you hook it up to that. That is so hard, guys. You'll not mess that up. Of course, I say that having messed it up myself. Yes, please laugh now. That will take, and that will set it up to where when we are moving, when our vector length is 0.001, we are now walking. We will transition into the walk animation. Now, what if our vector length is going back to 0? Well, we open up the return node, we drag out our is walking again, we get that, but this time we drag off of that and we get a not. We get the not node there, and we connect that up. So if we are not walking, is walking, if that is not true, then we must be idle. Okay? Now, what about running? Now, the transition into running is always a hard one, and the only reason we have it there is because of the sprint feature that we're going to put in later. So we're going to go ahead and just put this animation in now. So to transition from a walk to a run, well, all we need to know is, are we running? Well, yes we are, then there's that. Okay. To transition from idle to run, same thing. We just need to know, are we running? Okay. So we can back out of that. So now we need to, when we're not running, like say we're sprinting and we only have a certain amount of sprint we can use to have that speed boost, if we're still holding down the key to move forward while we're sprinting, we're probably going to turn back into a walk. Or if we're not holding anything, we're going to turn back into a run. Okay? But we can't just simply say that running is false. Because if running is false, then we don't know what to do, really. Because do we go here? Do we go here? Do we sit here in the middle and do absolutely nothing? Which is exactly what the animation will actually do. So we're going to go into the run to walk. We're going to drag out walk. We're going to drag out run. And we're going to go not. And then off of that not, we're going to do an and. And what we're doing here is we're saying that if you've been doing any programming whatsoever, in any programming language whatsoever, you should know what an if-and statement is. That is what we're setting up here. If is running is not true, and walking is true, then we want to proceed down this line. So if we're sprinting, our stamina bar runs out, but we're still wanting to move forward, we are automatically going to revert back to a walk. Okay? Now if we want to just return back to an idle, then we just do running is not true, connect us back up. Okay? And that will determine that. Okay? So now we can back out. We can make sure, just mouse over them. You'll see the little red bubbles. All right. Yep, that's there. Sometimes you won't. You have to look at it. All right. So now we can actually close out of that because we're done with the scratch animation. All right. But that still doesn't get that animation onto our skeleton when we're playing the game. So we're going to go back to the blueprints, back to the character. We'll go back to viewport. Notice we still have our hands there. So we select our hands, our FPS character. Now under the details window where you put in the mesh, if you look above that, we have a section for animation. The animation mode, you drag that over and look, okay, is that we're going to use an animation blueprint. Now you can use an asset, but I would recommend just for right now's sake using a blueprint. But what blueprint are we going to use? Well, we don't want to use the anim instance or the anim preview instance or the tutorial TPP. We want to use the one we just made. So in this case, it's scratch_anim. So we select that, and voila, there is our character. It is just sitting there idle, and we're good to go. But does it move? Does it, when it walks, does it use the walk animation? Well, let's take a look. We hit play, and we can see there that it is having a hard time apparently doing anything. Why is that? There should be nothing wrong at this point, really. Who's this? I'm going to pause real quick and find this problem. Alright, well I did find one thing. I don't know why it still will not look up or look down. I have had that issue before. Usually just a restart of the client usually fixes it, which I'll look into that in a minute. So the fix to that will be in the next video. But the animations are playing a little wonky right now because under character movement inherited right here, we click on that and then go to our details panel. We come down here to a thing called max walk speed. Well, if you remember when we set up our actual animations, we set our max walk speed for to check if we are running to 300. So if we set this to say like 299, well let's just set it to 300. Okay, we compile, we save. You'll notice, now we're walking here, and we're running, and we're walking, and the animations are actually confused. Alright, so if we go back in the animations blueprint, okay, and we go back to event graph, we scroll down here to where we have the run check, and all we do is we set that to 301. Okay, Control S to save it, compile, save that again real quick. And now when we go to play it, you'll notice that the animation is linked to that. Right? And that has that in there. Now the camera is a little wonky on where it sits, and you can adjust that pretty easily by just going into it, and playing around with, let's see, from the right, nope, from the front, there we go. And you can go in here and mess with where the actual model is in comparison to the camera. You do this, then you walk around. Obviously, that's not right for what you'd want. So you just kind of go through and you play around with it, get it set the way you want to. But that's the basic of how to get the character, into the first-person character, into the actual game, and get them into the blueprint, get them animated, and get all that set up. Now, in the next video, hopefully, I will have the look up, look down thing fixed. But we are going to do a third-person character, and we're going to see how to animate it. I'm going to try and attempt to figure out how to convert from first-person to third-person. I'm not having very high hopes in that at the current moment, as that is something I've never tried to do before, but I've wanted to do. But if I can figure it out, I will gladly be sharing that with y'all in the 4th installment of this video. But for now, look forward to being able to put in a third-person character and control the camera around the character so that you can move with that. So I'll see you in the next video.